Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, I got royalty amongst us today. The pride of Canada. I mean, you may know him from movies like Toronto High Park Dracula, Glory Hole Death Trap, The Man Wolf, and he's coming out with a new double feature called Killer Burger. I got my man with us, Stefan Perin. He is the king of underground horror. This is a sick motherfucker, guys. Stefan, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, and thank you so much for doing this.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So, real quick, your new feature that you're working on, which is Killer Burger, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Killer Burger is going to be a double feature. I've got two scripts that I've got, and I really am excited to combine them together. The first one is going to be a script I have called Pox, and it's about a cybernetic atheist gorilla, which is going to terrorize a farmhouse. And the second film will be called Lab Grown Meat Man, which is an entity made entirely of, as you can guess, lab grown meat. Mm-hmm. And it will take revenge upon society.
Nice. Now, and that's in the works right now?
It's in the works right now. I've actually already started shooting it, and I'm going to be doing principal photography in April. So I'm getting all my B-roll done, all of my puppeteering done now during the cold in studio.
Now, for people who don't know who you are, Stefan, tell us a little bit about what is underground horror.
Well, underground horror is something that's outside the Hollywood studios. Basically, I run my own business. You know, I call myself Stefan Perin, secular director. You know, my work is done outside of general channels. So I can't generalize for everybody, but I know that many artists get grants or have big productions that are funded by Hollywood studios, and I work outside that realm. So everything is in-house. I work with very regular people. I don't work with actors. I don't work with unions. I take the general population and those that are interested in going on a underground ride, they jump on board.
Amazing. Now, with your work, I've had the privilege of watching Glory Hole Death Trap as well as Toronto High Park Dracula. And I see a lot of inspiration from John Waters and Ed Wood.
Oh, yes.
Were they some of your inspiration for your movies?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I was in college, and I hate to date myself, but I'm almost 50 years old. So I got into this business very late in life. And if there's one thing I can say about doing things late in life, don't let it stop you, because there's a whole world out there for you, regardless of how old you are. But when I was in college in the 90s, I remember that all of John Waters' films had been re-released on VHS and DVD. And I went to the video store and I rented Pink Flamingos. And I watched that movie and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was so good and it was so different and it was outside of Hollywood. And I thought, that's what I want to do. And another time I was very inspired was watching the Ed Wood movie made by Tim Burton. Watching the story of that man and how he made his movies. And to be honest, you know, these movies were horrible, but it takes a lot of work to make a piece of shit. And I always tell people that you have to actually think about what you're going to do to make it look outside of that realm. Back in the day, it seemed to come quite natural, but I think that John Waters and Ed Wood, they had to work very hard to make those films. And I'm here to say that it does take a lot of work to make a bad movie. But luckily, my fans, they understand what I'm doing and they see what I'm doing. And so I'm very happy to provide that art for that genre of fandom.
Now, your movies, would you say they're more on the exploitation realm, or are they more that gritty grindhouse?
Exploitation is really subjective, but yes, and I think that grindhouse is something that if you like film, I do suggest that you do check out some titles of Grindhouse. And if you're not familiar with the old Grindhouse movies, there's always the double feature that came out, Death Proof and Planet Terror is a good example of modern Grindhouse. And so that is also very much an influence for me. And I'm really glad to be part of that genre.
Now, with your movies, for instance, Glory Hole, Death Trap, do you like adding that shock factor to have audience being like, what the fuck am I watching right now?
Oh yeah, I do depend on, as you could tell, I admit I have a gimmick. I look different, um, and the titles that I choose are quite outstanding. But I think that if you do not come up with a plan to stand out, you'll just fade into the background because there are so many people out there doing the same thing I'm doing, but they're not doing it the same way I'm doing it. And I think that my success is because of that difference. People are looking for something different, and I happen to just fill that position.
And and the best way I can describe your movies are a vulgar masterpiece. I mean, the cinematography is beautiful. The cut scenes, the disturbing images, it's just put together so well. And
Well,
like
thank
you
you so
said,
much. Flattery will get you everywhere.
yes. Now, most people don't wouldn't like saying vulgar, but yeah, it's a vulgar masterpiece.
I would really enjoy making even more vulgar movies, but I do cut my actors some slack. But I do appreciate the compliment and the observation.
Now, is there any a time when you're making a movie or thinking about an idea that you're like, boy, I don't want to go this far, or is that something that never goes in your head?
Yeah, there has been some scenes where I've had to retract some stuff. I'll admit it. I've had actors tell me that that's too much, and I just can't do that. And so I've gone ahead and rejigged the script pretty much right there on the fly, and still have come up with something that was still artistic and trashy, filthy. But you know, I I try and keep it rated R. I don't want to have to put an X on there because then the video stores aren't going to take it. But I have done some scenes I think that have been somewhat memorable, and I have also admitted to having to scale back my ideas in order to just suit societal norms.
What's one idea? Give me an example of one idea that like you were like, this is a great idea, and then you got there and you were like, damn, I got to scale back.
Well, in the movie The Manual, for example, my one character has a vapor coming out of her mouth, and originally the script had called for that vapor to come out of the vagina. And I respect the actors I work with and everything like that. And this particular scene was just a bit too much. And so I said, okay, instead of having you lay back on your back and spread your legs and have, a smoke machine, basically blow out your midsection, I'll have it so that we'll line it up with your mouth and just do it that way. And in fact, it turned out great like that. I don't regret it. Maybe I might save that for another person, and maybe they'll think it's okay. But, I'm here to work with the people that are around me. I work as a team. I have a good crew behind me. And if it wasn't for them, I would just be another crazy person in a cloak. And
Yes.
so, they give me that life. And
Now,
so I have to kind of go with the punches sometimes.
now, when it comes to your cast, actors, actresses, do you have them before they come in and get ready to film a movie or read a script? Do you have them watch any of your previous movies beforehand?
Well, with my debut film, no one knew really what they were in store for until they received the script, and everybody was on board with that. And with the, Toronto High Park Dracula and the Man Wolf, people have watched the previous films, and so they know what to expect now when they're going to be cast in a Stephen Perin secular director film. And so I think that I've nailed it on the head there when it comes to expectations, because now that I'm going to be doing my fourth film, people know what kind of ride to expect.
Now, controversy. Have you received any controversy in Canada or worldwide for any of your films?
I've had some positive and negative feedback when it comes to people online. It's very easy for people to just drop a negative comment when their profile isn't even real
Yeah.
or has their face on it. But I take it all with a grain of salt, really. There has been some pretty interesting comments where I have had people tell me that they have really enjoyed my films and they thank me for what I'm doing and they tell me to keep doing what I'm doing. Those are always the best comments. But sometimes I'll get comments like, wow, that was the shittiest soundtrack I've ever heard. And I'm thinking, well, geez, I made that music and thanks a lot. But I always tell people, show me the piece of shit you made.
Exactly.
Show me the script that you wrote and the hours and hours and hours of shooting and editing that you did so I could criticize the piece of shit you made.
And I say the same thing. Like, every once in a while, I'll get a comment like, "Oh, you got a shitty fucking show or shitty quality." I'm like, okay, well, let me see your YouTube channel. Let me see what that looks like.
Exactly.
And
Show me the piece of shit that you made and I'll say the same, I might even
exactly,
like it.
yes, but 9 out of 10 times they don't even have one. So like,
I know.
so it's
Everyone's a
like fucking
critic.
ridiculous.
Everyone's a critic.
All right, so what is the difference between what you do and what they call snuff movies?
Well, snuff movies are illegal and they usually involve some form of torture or violence. And I'm not doing that to my characters. So I wouldn't really call myself a snuff director. Um, you know, that's really all I have to really say about, I think, that.
Okay.
But yeah, I do appreciate perhaps the parallels, but I would never do anything illegal in my movies.
Okay, perfect. All right, so and you brought up something you brought which I've said a lot. I'm a huge horror fan, and one thing I love about horror, there's so many sub genres in horror. So like, there's a little bit for anything for anybody to like. And one of the things you brought up was standing out. There are so many the horror movie genre is plagued with movies that have the same look, the same title, pretty much the same damn character. How hard is it for if you found if you was talking to a new horror filmmaker, would you tell them to stand out or would you tell them to go with the norm, even though norm might be something that lead them to success?
Well, that's the thing. The norm will often be the easier path to success. But
Hmm.
in 2023, I really think that the abnormal is really what is needed. I think that today's youth are tired of the films being made by Hollywood today. I find a lot of people enjoy films of the past, and I am trying to make something look old even though it is today. And I'm trying to distinguish myself from somebody who's taking that safe path. That being said, if your story has a safe path theme to it, by all means go ahead. But the chances that you're going to be seen, there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of people doing the same thing. And if you're going to go ahead and do the same thing as everybody else, are you really creating anything new? And so that's my question for the young people out there and the old who may want to start up in this business to ponder on. What you really have to do is look inside yourself and think, what do I think is funny? Or what do I think is scary? Or what do I think is glamorous? And take those aspects and put them into your art. And you'll see that you'll come up with something new, because not everybody has the same idea when it comes to those concepts. And also, there are rules to underground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ugly, unusual, and unpaid. And so, usually you're doing this because you like it, not because you're trying to find success. I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard here, but I never expected that I would have 10,000 fans on social media. I was never expecting that I would be on my fourth film. I really didn't think that this would happen to me. But in Canada, I've become probably the most recognizable film director, at least in this level, that there is currently. And so when someone sees me, they're like, oh, okay, I know who that guy is. He's like the Toronto High Park Dracula guy or the Glory Hole Death Trap guy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the titles of the films are really important, because no one's going to remember a title like, She Went for a Walk. Like, no one's going to remember that, right? Even if it's the scariest walk that you've ever seen in film, they may not remember that, but they're going to remember Glory Hole Death Trap.
It got my attention. I mean, that's the first one I clicked on. I was like, Glory Hole Death Trap. That sounds fucking interesting.
Well, everyone loves a good glory hole.
I've never experienced a glory hole, but I know about glory hole. Even if I did, I wouldn't say it on camera. But so in Canada, there's a big, huge scene because listen, I've done my research. You are a big deal in Canada. I mean, when it comes to your level, how is it? How hard is it to, I would say, up your game from each project? Do you think that way when you're creating an experience? Like, how can I make this more vulgar? How can I make this more trashy?
Yes,
Or
I think I'm upping my game with this next film. As well, I've started to break into the American market, and the USA has been very kind to me. And so my movies are starting to be put on store shelves in video stores throughout America, which is something I, again, was not expecting to happen. And I just want to say that, I guess, with time, and it's hard to do it with just one film. So I would tell people, keep working at it, keep making more movies, build it, and they will come. And that's what's been happening to me. And so now that I'm breaking into the US market, I think that not only is the exposure that I have much larger, but Canadians themselves are starting to recognize that they have almost like a little treasure of their own that they're starting to actually recognize. And it's funny because in Canada, you could be an artist, but it's not until the US recognizes you do Canadians often start paying more attention. It's a very interesting scenario, but it's very true. And so Canadians have some form of, I'm not sure if it's a mental block, but until the US says yes, Canadians are quite reserved when they're looking at their artists.
Interesting. I had no idea that was a
Oh,
thing.
yes. You hear about Canadian artists all the time leaving Canada and moving to the US. They
Hmm.
do that because the US is much more welcoming to artists. And
Yes.
Canadians tend to, I'm not saying all, but many Canadians are like crabs in a bucket. And so when they see someone doing well, they may not necessarily support them because they themselves are not doing anything or are not being recognized for what they do. So it can be somewhat toxic in Canada. But if you look at me, I'm sure you could tell that I thrive in toxicity.
You do.
I try.
All right. Let's jump to something else. You're a huge fan of my show, which I love. And
Yeah,
you
I
love my.
really appreciate that you're doing this. You know, it takes a lot of time and
Hmm.
energy to not only discover other directors, but to go ahead and take the time to talk to them, put a video on YouTube. It takes time, and I appreciate you doing this.
No problem. And listen, it's a pleasure of mine. I love putting the spotlight on. I'm a huge horror fan. I'm a huge indie horror fan. And like, I love discovering something new like Glory Hole Death Trap and sharing it with the world because the world should know about it, you know? And
Right on.
you love my intro song.
I do. It makes me want to dance around the house.
I've always wondered that. I'm like, when I first started I've only been doing it for 7 months. I'm brand new into the YouTube thing. And I was like, at first I didn't have no song at all, just had my logo. And then a couple people say you need some music. And I just randomly found that song and I was like, okay, I like this. But I've always wondered if other people liked that that little music intro or not.
I really do. To me, it looks like a show, you know?
Yes.
And like I'm old school. Like, you know, when you got a show on, you got to have a song and you
Hmm.
got to have that title. And people know that something's going on when they see
Yes.
that. And
But I
that's
get
great. I applaud you for that.
thank you, because and I'm assuming it must be millennials and Gen Zers, because I see a lot of people click off of my video before the intro, and I'm like, is it the song that's turning them off? Like, who the hell clicks on a video and is gone in 5 seconds?
Yeah, but I mean, like, as long as the view count went up,
Yes,
who cares?
exactly.
I'm just kidding. No,
Now,
but seriously, you're doing really good. And what you're also doing is you're expanding your knowledge and you're becoming a library of knowledge.
yes, yes, and like,
And as you look back to all these interviews, you're going to see that one, two, three, four people that you interviewed in the past. You're going to see them rising.
mm-hmm.
You're going to see them moving up in the world, and you're going to have been there when they were no one.
And that's what I mean. That's one of the things that motivates me is that, like you said, at least one, two, three, four, five are definitely going to be the next Wes Craven or the next John Carpenter. And I would love to say, like you said, I would love to say, hey, I interviewed them when they first started, and I gave them their first opportunity to show themselves off to the world,
Yep.
and that would be an amazing feeling.
Oh
All
yeah,
right,
no, it's coming because
yes,
I'm not stopping,
yes, and listen,
and I'm
you're
sure a lot
already
of the other people that you've interviewed are not stopping either.
yes, keep on going because I have nothing but respect for especially indie filmmakers. I have nothing, not even indie filmmakers, indie authors, special effects, whatever. Like I have nothing but respect because there's so many people who sit back and they critique movies. I used to be one of them. I was a critic. That's how my YouTube channel first started. And but you realize, criticizing someone's masterpiece, someone's art, something they put their blood, sweat, tears, and skin in, like it's not something to do. It's not something right to do. So
Well, hopefully that message gets out.
yes, now the big multi-million dollar, $100 million films and so forth, critique them all day long because they got the budget and this and that to do all that. And some, I feel like the big motion pictures, they're just lazy. It has nothing to do with their budget. It has nothing to do with their time schedule. It's just laziness.
It's lazy, it's safe, and as I said, every Halloween season, I always refer to the same films every Halloween season. I watch John Carpenter's Halloween. I watch Chopping Mall. I watch The Thing. I could go on and on and on, but I have this small top 50 that I basically live within. And all I can hope as an artist, I can only hope that, one day my films go into people's top 50s. But
Yes.
the only good films I've seen of late, recently, was, I know it's a controversial one, but I really loved *Malignant*. I thought it was really
Great.
I thought it was like a new take on Basket Case kind of thing, like
Mm-hmm.
I really did like it. I was not expecting what I saw.
Me
And
too.
so like it really impressed me. And the last two Evil Dead movies that have been of recent,
They were great.
very well done. Amazing makeup, amazing camera work, amazing everything, like gory, just really, really good.
Yes.
But I kind of like, I usually go see a horror movie and I think, like maybe this might be okay. But, and I usually shy away from remakes, but I can't really be a hypocrite anymore because I did Dracula. So,
Yeah.
I gotta kind of give people a bit of credit. But yeah, I think today's movies are really like, as if you're gonna make a piece of shit,
Mm-hmm.
at least try to make it look like a piece of shit. Don't try to
Exactly.
make it like some kind of amazing thing and it's a piece of shit. It's fucking horrible. It's horrible. And I'm not naming any names or any movies or whatever. I'm not going to insult anyone else's
Yes.
work. But these people know who they are, and the
Yes.
fans out there know what movies I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Speaking of a piece of shit, I'm gonna talk about one. The new Exorcist movie.
I
I
don't
knew it was
want to
gonna.
see that one.
I knew it
I
was gonna
don't
be a
want to.
piece
I
of
don't
shit.
want to go see it because I just love the original so much.
I knew it was gonna be a piece of shit. I've been talking about months for a piece of shit, and everybody's like, "Oh, give them a try," or blah blah blah. And no, it's a piece of shit. It is, and
Well,
it's a money grab, cash grab. Shame on them. Shame on David Gordon Green. Like shame on it. It was a fucking crash grab piece of shit.
I've seen the trailers. I've seen the advertising for it. The actress, the young actress. I think there's two young actresses that are
Yes.
possessed in that film.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to look like Linda Blair. Like, I don't need that in my life. Like, I don't need you to, like, regurgitate what I've already seen like 40 years ago.
Exactly.
You know,
And
good on them and all, but I heard that to get the rights to make that the people who made that film had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to have the rights.
$400 million. $400 million.
Correct. And
$400 million.
that movie only made 30 million.
Only made $30 million. And I can't think of her name, but the lady who played Linda Blair's mother in the original,
Yes.
she refused. She did an interview months before. She said she refused the script 4 fucking times, and each time they
She's
offer
a great
more.
actress, and
Yes.
it's really, like, I don't judge anyone for going out and making some money, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But like, Man, I wish that she had not been in that.
She refused the script 4 times. Each time they offer her more money, and then the fifth time they pull up the Brinks truck and they say they want to donate a shit ton to her charity, and that's when she said, "Okay, fine, fine." But she even said the script was horrible, the movie was horrible. They just gave a lot of money to her charity and her, and and she's in the movie for 10 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, it's just now I don't have patience for shit like that. You got $400 million and you make a movie like that. Like that's no excuse at
Yeah.
all compared to
Now
some.
I understand money talks, money
Mm-hmm.
talks. Maybe one day someone will say to me, Stephen Perrin, secular director, we want to pay you millions of dollars to redo Night of the Demon. I
That'll be
think that
fucking amazing.
you'd be
That'll
perfect
be
for
amazing.
a movie where
I,
someone's
l-
penis gets pulled off by a Sasquatch.
I
And
love
I
that
would
fucking movie.
probably have to say, well, if you're going to pay me that much, like, you know, I, 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 like I understand money talks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I really think that something like The Exorcist, like shouldn't have been touched. I remember back in the day when John Waters' Hairspray got redone.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible, horrible film. Like
Yes.
if you want to watch Hairspray, fucking go watch Hairspray. Don't go and remake it, you know. So anyway, I could go on and on and on about that, but as I said, Dracula is in the public domain, so you can't really hate me too much for doing it. It was a dream come true to do that. But, I still think that in the end, original will always win.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to go into the public domain to get yourself a little ahead, don't be ashamed of it, but don't depend on that, is my only advice.
Yep. Now, since you're a John Waters fan, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, home of John Waters, and
I'm
and
so
this movie,
jealous.
yeah, that's where all the movie takes place. Now, I was thinking about this, Stefan. So, Divine is buried here in Baltimore, Maryland. I was thinking about doing a video of visiting her grave. Is that something that you would be interested in seeing? You think, or people would be interested in, or
Oh,
no?
absolutely. I would love to see Divine's grave.
Okay, so
If I'm ever in Baltimore, I would look you up and have you show me where it is. Like
okay,
I absolutely love Divine. I think that Divine was literally divine.
yes,
Like I just hate the fact that Divine died just before her big break on Married with Children. When
hmm
I think about the possibilities of Divine, I get chills down my back. I can only pray, even though I'm a secular director, so it's only a figure of speech praying. But I can only hope that in my years to come that I meet someone as amazing as Divine. That's my only hope in life, is that I can work with people who are just as unique.
amazing. So yeah, so everyone look forward. I'm gonna be doing. I think I'm gonna do a combo between Edgar Allan Poe's grave and Divine's grave in one video. What do you think?
Absolutely. Going
Okay.
to visit famous people's graves would be a great show, especially for people that are on the gothic side like myself,
Yeah.
people who like that counterculture. Um, do it. It's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Because I've been pondering for the last couple of months, and I was like, well, is that something? I was like thinking, I was like, do people even remember who Divine is first? And then second, I was like, is there interest in seeing that? So
I think Divine still has a lot of fans,
okay.
and there's always new ones every year coming up. There's always going to be some young person that's going to be sifting through the underground. And when they do that, they're going to come across Divine. They're going to come across Stephen Perrin, secular director. They're going to come across Andy Warhol. They're going to come across Kenneth Anger. They're going to come across Bruce LaBruce. Like it just goes on and on. Like the underground is quite large.
But the weird thing, the reason I say that though there's people who live in Baltimore, Maryland, who have lived here for years, decades, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and don't know who the fuck Divine is.
Shame.
And there's people in Baltimore that don't know who the fuck John Waters is, and then John Waters is in Baltimore, and all his movies take place in Baltimore. There's people, I'm telling you, there's Baltimoreans don't even know the history of their own city and state. It's fucking
Well,
scary.
it could be because it's so counterculture as well. You also have that queer aspect that some people don't really like follow.
Mm-hmm.
But is there not a statue of Divine in Baltimore somewhere made of brass or
I don't think so.
bronze?
If there is, I mean, I will add that into the video too. I don't think so.
I thought that the city had gotten together to put a statue up of Divine, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't. I'm
But
pretty sure I would know.
I would encourage you though to open up your borders to what it is that you want to discuss and showcase on your YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit that I started off as a YouTuber myself, and I had only imagined myself being a YouTuber. But then all of a sudden, I opened up my own distribution company to distribute my films, and the whole world opened up even more. But remember, YouTube is the most popular streaming service in the world. It's free, and so many people watch it. Mm-hmm. So, I always tell artists as well, don't go spend your money trying to get on to like any of those popular streaming services. It's expensive, and the payback is literally nothing. Stick to YouTube, and it'll take you far, because there's a lot more people on YouTube than any other streaming service that there may be. They may make themselves look popular, they may have a hit show, but the rest of the stuff on there is all shit.
I watch more YouTube than I do anything else. I'm being serious. Like, I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I really love YouTube also. I like Tubi as well.
Tubi.
I like Tubi.
But I don't watch that many TV shows anymore. I just don't. Like, if I want something quick and fast, I'll put like I tell people all the time, like, my show is actually great for if you're taking a fucking shower, or if you're cooking or something like that. Like, people see the count time. Oh my God, this is an hour-long fucking video. But I like hour-long videos. Like, you don't have to see my fucking face. You don't have to see Stefan's face. Put this on when you're cooking or washing dishes, taking a shower.
Yeah, it's like a radio station.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you wanted to expand what you're doing, take your video files and turn them into audio files and put them out on where people only listen to audio.
Yeah.
Audio stories. I'm not sure. I don't really do the audio books or whatever it is out there right now, but it is popular for people to just enjoy and listen.
Mm-hmm. If you're driving, toss my channel on. Like, that's the perfect time to do it.
You're on to something here. Keep it up.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm going to add to it as well. Trust me.
Well, if there is anything else you need answered, yes. I'm here for you. Oh. Or I'm okay with wrapping this up and saying good night.
Stefan, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I have a question. Where can everyone find you, my friend?
I'm in Ontario, Canada, and you can find me on Instagram. Instagram has been slowly increasing for me. You can find me. Snapchat is just blowing up. Like, the young people, they don't really seem to stick to the same app anymore. Yeah. I'm on Snapchat. I've got like over 5,000 people following me there. I'm on Facebook. But I think Instagram is probably the easiest and safest to say, okay, go ahead there and add me up. I really like my Instagram account because it allows me to have a public profile for anyone to really drop in and see what I'm up to. And the people that I follow and who are following me, a lot of them are in the business. And so Instagram has become somewhat special to me because it's almost like a roster of talent and influencers and different types of merchants. And it's just a joy to be on there. But if you really want to, see clips and see what I'm doing on a daily basis, Snapchat's where it's at.
Snapchat. And
Yeah,
where can
I'm thinking of TikTok, as well, because
I'm
people
on
say,
TikTok?
oh, everyone would love to see you blow up on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. They keep saying that it's like some sort of like spying app, which makes me want it even more, really. But
TikTok's fun.
yeah, it sounds fun to have someone spy on me.
Yeah.
But
Now,
anyway, if I
now,
ever get on TikTok, I'll let you know.
please do. Now, where can everyone see your movies?
They could go to their local video store, and if it's not in the shelf, they have to say, hey, where's this movie?
Mm-hmm.
But you could go on YouTube. You can go, I would say your local video store or YouTube is your best bet. All depends if you're a collector. You can also contact me directly, and I ship to customers directly as well, my product, both on VHS has made a big comeback for some reason. So, I keep up with what the kids want,
Yes.
And I do DVD. I don't believe in Blu-ray. I don't believe in 4K. When movies at the theater, they say, oh, come and see the new restored 4K. I'm like, fuck that. Give me that old 35 millimeter, like I want to see you take all of the imperfections out of it.
Exactly.
Like
I
it
like
takes,
that grainy look.
yeah, like you don't want to watch that,
Yeah.
But yeah, so contact me directly if you're looking for a movie. Glory Hole Death Trap, Toronto High Park Dracula, and the Man Wolf. People love it.
Yes. I'm telling you right now, it's something else. It's something new and interesting, and you have made a fan of me, Stefan.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you, saying that I'm doing something unique, because I do tell people this, that nobody is doing what Stefan Perin, secular director, is doing. Nobody.
No, not at all. And I can say that I watch a lot of fucking movies every fucking day, and I interview a lot of filmmakers. No one is doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you for justifying me.
Yes, you're something completely original, vulgar, trashy, but also you're making masterpieces.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And if you
You're
ever want
welcome.
to talk again, I'm just on the other
Anytime.
side of the phone.
Anytime, my friend. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'm going to see you guys next time. Take care.